Hello, I'm Kimberly Underwood, Director of Digital News Media at AFCEER International. I'd like to welcome you to our Signal Media Executive Interview Series. Today I'm speaking with Rebecca Gray, who is a Senior Vice President and General Manager at Boingo. The company is an award-winning wireless network firm headquartered in Los Angeles. Rebecca is going to talk to us about how Boingo connects the U.S. military in the 5G era. Rebecca is responsible for Boingo's military business unit, which provides wireless services to more than 75 Army, Air Force, Marine Corps, Navy, and Homeland Security Training Center locations worldwide. She also provides a great military perspective as she currently is serving as a colonel in the U.S. Air National Guard. Rebecca is the Vice Wing Commander of the 111th Attack Wing at Biddle Air National Guard Base, which is in eastern Pennsylvania. Colonel Gray also serves on the State Diversity Council for the Pennsylvania National Guard. Prior to Boingo, she led leadership positions at Comcast, NBC Universal, and Southern Company, serving their military communities. Rebecca is a graduate of the Secretary of Defense Fortune 500 Corporate Fellowship Program and holds a Bachelor of Science degree from the U.S. Air Force Academy. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thank you, Kim. That was a very gracious introduction, and it's just a privilege to have this opportunity to have this conversation with you today. So thank you to Signal Media for inviting Boingo to have this conversation.
Well, thank you, and I'm thrilled to speak with you, and especially with all your credentials, and looking forward to hearing kind of the solutions that you and your company are offering. Can you talk a little bit more about your role at Boingo and kind of how you're serving the military in particular?
Absolutely. That's a great question. As you mentioned in the introduction, I'm responsible for leading the wireless services that serve DoD. We currently serve over 75 bases, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, in addition to Homeland Security training locations. And that's worldwide, global. So it's an exciting opportunity to lead this team. It's an incredibly diverse team and with a lot of depth in the technology space. And so coming from Comcast, NBC Universal, coming from Southern Company, where I've already been serving the military community for a long time, a while, this has just been a great parlay into this technology and into this space. And then also, as you mentioned, my military career, as the Vice Wing Commander at an Air Force base, the Vice Wing Commander oversees all the different divisions within the base, and they're at the 111th Attack Wing at Biddle, which is just north of Philadelphia. We have an operations division, we have a medical division, support, engineering divisions, if you will, as well as cybersecurity. So I've been serving in the military for, goodness, over 30 years now. So I don't know, maybe it's time for me to hang up my hat. I don't know.
Well, I know we all appreciate that incredible length of service and the fact that you're, presently active in the military while providing kind of the services that Boingo does. I think that's unique.
It is. It's a bit to juggle at times, if you will. The way the military has the Reserve and National Guard forces, but what the military wants to do is really tap into our resources that we do bring to the fight, staying very embedded into the civilian sector. And so out of the over 1,000 plus troops we have at Biddle, over 700 are like myself, where we have civilian careers and a lot of expertise that we bring to the fight, and the military and our nation gets the benefit of that.
Right, sure. And can you talk about what's unique about the Wi-Fi services that you deliver?
Oh, that's a really good question to lead off with. As I had mentioned that, we connect these bases, the military bases, over 75 bases, with both cellular and Wi-Fi connectivity. And one of the fantastic ways we are very connected, we have a clear understanding of who our service members are, and they're moving around a lot, and they do training, around the world, and they're at this base and that base and those kinds of things. And so one of the things we have set up in working with the military and serving these bases is we don't have contracts. So you sign up for that service, and once you're on our service, then you can take that to any of the bases that we serve. So I couldn't imagine somebody coming into me, if I was putting my military hat on, if you will, and them coming into me and saying, hey, I got to go back to my dorm room, to my barrack, and say, oh, I've got to meet with a technician or an install, somebody to do an install for my internet service. I mean, I would say do that on your own time, but Boingo provides that. So it's just a matter of signing up for the service. Again, there's no technician, there's no install appointments on your calendar. There's no contract. And then you can take that account with you wherever you go, wherever the military assigns you and we are serving, then you can go. And then also, we have over 1 million Wi-Fi hotspots around the world, hotels, airports, restaurants. So any of those hotspots, you can also connect to in our network. And so that's another benefit that we provide those military members. So as they're on the move, we're on the move.
Right. Yeah, that's terrific flexibility for those service members. Can you talk?
Yeah, I think that's a real benefit. I mean, when that flexibility is what you need, and those companies that can provide that to military really wins the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And can you talk, beyond the barracks, how has Boingo expanded its wireless services kind of for other locations beyond the barracks?
Yeah, absolutely. So serving the barracks is really critical. I mean, that's where our soldiers, sailor, airmen, and Marines, live. But we also provide services beyond the barracks. We provide at Fort Polk, which is one of 3 quality of life bases. It's in central Louisiana, and we provide high-speed fiber that does 1 gig upload and download speeds, if you will. And so what you can imagine what that does for those troops. That's a base. That's a training base. It's a joint readiness training base. So other branches of the service train there. And there's roughly, over 10,000 troops there. And so by us providing that 1 gig of high-speed fiber, that service, that connectivity is designed for uninterrupted streaming and for gaming. And so real critical, especially in that kind of location in central Louisiana, that the Army has said is a real important base to enhance any kind of quality of life services. And so Boingo was brought in as a partner to help the Army do that.
Right, sure. And how is Boingo positioned to bring military training into the 5G era?
When you look at the 5G space, we're well positioned. We're well positioned. And one of the things that I think we need to talk about, I guess, if you will, is the 5G technologies and how those are applied and provided into a military space is critical. These are complex solutions, if you will, and one of the things that Boingo does when the military partners with us is we make those complexities simple for our customer. And so we offer a combination of wireless technologies and infrastructure, macro towers, small cells, Wi-Fi and private cellular. So to us, finding the right 5G technology based on what the needs of the military are. And you can imagine working with the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, and Marines. Those are different missions, and you need to have different technologies to solve those mission critical needs. And that is what we bring in having a partnership with Boingo.
Right, sure. And can you talk about kind of key use cases? What are the end use solutions are you solving through your 5G products?
Yeah, absolutely. As we approach the 5G, we approach it. I'll highlight two main ways, and one is on the first one is on the private networks, and that's in the macro cell towers. Those get that's our 5G networks from our Wi-Fi carriers and our partnerships with AT&T, T-Mobile, Verizon, if you will. And those are the radio signals, and we install large towers on military bases. They're huge. They're 200 feet up in the air. They're tall, with antennas, and this provides cell coverage across miles. And you can imagine in these bases that are are huge, and they're different kinds of bases. There's rural bases, there's urban bases, and it's a perfect solution of providing public networks across the base. And the towers primarily support mobile communications, and through these cell towers, and that enables our military members, their families, to be wherever they need to be on the base, and through their cell phones or their tablets, they have connectivity. And then any small cells we install, if you will, on like light poles and high density areas, that just only enhances the coverage in real in real dense locations, if you will.
Right, sure.
And then
sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the second portion of that I wanted to, in the two main ways that we approach 5G on military bases, is also on private networks. And we provide private wireless bandwidth with that enhances security, enhances coverage and capacity and speed. And this is real critical, as you can imagine, specifically for the military and on military bases. These private networks operate independently from all the private or the public cell networks, if you will. And so these are solutions that you'll see in shipyards and warehouses, as it pertains to telemedicine, as the military moves more into telemedicine, aircraft maintenance, any kind of tactical training applications, if you will. So we're really excited to offer both the private networks as well as the public.
Right, sure. And how else is Boingo supporting these 5G rollouts for DoD locations and bases? And I'd love to hear specifically about the Whidbey Island project in the state of Washington that you're supporting.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great project. Again, we provide a lot of solutions to support DoD, and we can create networks that best fit the needs. And there's different missions on these bases. And so having that understanding of the military from our team's perspective, and understanding these different missions, working with the military to understand what their needs are, and then we provide different solutions. We're very agile in our ability to provide different solutions and to create networks based on those needs. And it's not just needs; it's based on those missions. And so that's something that at Boingo, having that agility is really has enabled us to be a leader in this space as a partner with the military. And as you mentioned, the Whidbey Island in Washington State at Naval Air Station up there, it's an exciting project. We're deploying a private 5G network that will support advanced operations and maintenance across a lot of different applications, if you will. So smart aviation hangars. I think through like flight line operations, advanced supply chain management. What they wanted to do was they wanted rapid access to information, secure information. And so this solution provides that. And so it's exciting to be leading the way, if you will, in a partnership with the Navy on this project.
Right, that sounds so cool. Smart.
Isn't it cool? It's so cool. So cool. Smart, you think of smart homes, and it's really taking that and putting that in a hangar, and for flight line aviation, all that. It's just really cutting edge.
Yeah, and I don't know if you can share the kind of timeline of that project, or kind of when will that be rolled out, or what's the progress?
Oh, the progress, we're on track. We're rolling it out as we speak. And I think it would be great to have a follow-up conversation to talk about, how, what we're seeing from that, what we're seeing the results from that, and how the Navy is receiving it. And also some of the transformative impact based on the mission that will be having on that private, that network, that 5G network.
Yeah, very cool. And then can you talk about kind of how does Boingo give back to the military, aside from your amazing contribution, and kind of how are you supporting veterans and things like that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really exciting. I think, especially coming from the military, it's exciting to be working at a company that is so committed to the military, even apart from just this business unit, if you will. We have military members like myself serving across Boingo, not just in my business unit. And so it's exciting to be a part of a company is so solidly behind us as a military member, and some of the dynamics that we bring to the table when you come into the civilian sector with an active military service, if you will. So first, that's a real positive, both for me personally and professionally, and I've seen that amongst our employees. We also have a veterans, as you can imagine, a veterans employee resource group that is very active, and it's one of the most active employee resource groups at the company. And that recently we were recognized by the Department of Labor as a higher gold medallion award recipient for our commitment to hiring military members, our military spouses. And so we received a pretty prestigious award for that, for our commitment there. We've also, over the years, have supported an organization called Operation Gratitude, and that's where you send care packages to troops and to wounded warriors. So that's a real something pretty significant, and gives our employees a lot of just pride in what our company is doing and our commitment. And then finally, I'll comment on just how our business just makes great sense as our contracts, a portion of our revenue from our contracts with DoD, with the different branches of service, goes back to supporting soldiers, sailor, airmen, and Marines. So it actually goes back to supporting programs and things like that. Early on in my early years, over 30 years ago, when I was a young lieutenant, I actually managed, I was the lieutenant that managed the recipient of those funds, if you will, and managed those and spent those dollars very strategically across the base to support the military troops stationed at the base where I was. So now it's interesting all these years later to come back and go, wow, I'm now on the back end providing those resources through our contracts, and just making good business decisions. And then again, it's supporting the base and the troops that are working on those bases.
Yeah, that's a nice nexus of support to various soldiers across the military.
Isn't it?
Great, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what else is ahead for Boingo? What can you share with us about the future?
Well, I think that the future is exciting as we're growing the number of bases. We're over 75 bases. We want to grow that number. We want to serve more. And so that as our troops move around the country, we're there, we're with them, and we're standing with them. We also want to grow overseas. And so that's an exciting for us to be able to, as you know, a lot of due to what's going on around the world, our folks are deploying, our troops are deploying. And so as they go through training and are at their permanent station and then get deployed, we want to be where they are there too, and stay with them and be that partner with them, and to provide connectivity back to the people and the things that matter to them. And so for us, that's a real push. And then as you mentioned, you asked the question about beyond the barracks. We want to grow, at more barracks and serving more troops, but we also want to grow beyond the barracks, and we want to serve more of those facilities on the base, like the classrooms, the rec centers, the family and youth centers, the any kind of facility on base that our troops and their families utilize, dining halls and all of the mess halls want to be there too. So that it's a seamless movement across the base, whether they're in the barracks or whether they're in the dining hall or at the rec center. We want to be there with them.
Right, sure. Well, those are all my questions. Anything else you wanted to add?
No, this was a lot of fun talking with you, Kim, and you're doing great work, and I've enjoyed listening to what you do and what you publish through this venue, and it's really powerful. And it's making a tremendous impact, and it's just a privilege to be a part of it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for being such a leader in the corporate world, but also in the military that we all are benefiting from. So thank you.
Absolutely.
And for more information about the company, please visit boingo.com, boingo.com. Thanks for all of you for joining us, and have a good day.